There are parts of us that we don't or can't always see. This is a story about how I lost a part of my family's history, but found it again in myself. This is my great-great-grandfather. He's from Iraq, where he had a son who married this woman. The two of them had 5 children, all born in Baghdad. My grandma was in the middle. Her name was Juliet Sakai. They were Jewish. During World War II, she and her family left Baghdad for India, and later, her father sent her away, far away from that part of the world. So far she ended up in America, in New York City, where she met my grandfather. They married, and her name was not Sakai anymore. It was Rodman. They moved to D.C., but my grandfather lost his government job there because he had married a foreigner, and this was the time of McCarthy. They left D.C. for Boston, and they had 2 sons, both Jewish and half Iraqi. But that part of them was slowly leaking away. That memory of Iraq and another country showed up in bits and pieces, in hair, and clothes, and accents. But for the most part, my grandmother did not pass on her Iraqi heritage. She passed on the Jewish tradition she knew, which stopped when my father grew up and met my mother. My mother and father had 3 kids who grew up never knowing religion or their Iraqi heritage, which was now fighting 1-3 against the Poles, Russians, and Greeks. The only hint of that heritage was in my dark hair, skin, and what people call foreign features. I was the only dark-haired baby born in between 2 blonde kids. I always wondered why people asked me where I was from, and weren't satisfied when I answered Cary, North Carolina. Their questions were generally harmless, verging on the edge of rudeness, like when the man in the deli asked my mom if I was adopted, or the boy in middle school who told me to shut up because I was Chinese and what did I know? To me, I looked just like any other white person. I wasn't any different. It wasn't until I reached high school that I started thinking there must be something different about the way I looked. I just realized it after everybody else had. It would show up in small places, like someone telling me not to fill in the white bubble on the EOG test and fill in other instead, or after 9/11 when someone on the bus called me a terrorist, or when my 10th grade science teacher told me to put my hand down when she was taking a poll of different races in the class and called out Caucasian. I know and knew my grandma's from Iraq, but it's not something that I understand well. I didn't like the difference in me that I couldn't grasp or acknowledge. However, I've started understanding that difference and viewing it positively. I like that I don't get sunburned when I go to the beach, and that I could be one of many different nationalities. There is always time to reflect on and connect with our differences, change the way we think about them, and travel back through time to embrace a forgotten heritage.